All right, welcome everyone to another session of Crituitous RP. Thank you for joining us once again. Just as last week, because we are down a couple players, we are going to do a session all about character creation once again. We're going to give Matthew and Stephen the opportunity to play around with some of Xanathar's Guide to Everything content, and if we have some time, we'll see at the end running those characters through a little bit of a one-shot. So, right to start off with, I wanted to just highlight something, one of the new things that I like about Xanathar's Guide. I play a couple games, I DM a few games of D&D, and this morning I had a player play a Cavalier for the first time. And I was actually very impressed at how balanced it was, the abilities. It changed his character from a traditional battle master, who he focused on the maneuvers based on the battle master archetype, to this Cavalier version. And I hadn't really seen a fighter that focuses on control tanking, as it were, that does it so well. In particular, it was the warding maneuver, unwavering mark, I believe. That's the one. Yeah, the unwavering mark that stood out to me. Starting at 3rd level, you can menace your foes, foiling their attacks and punishing them for harming others. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can mark the creature until the end of your next turn. This effect ends early if you are incapacitated or you die, or if someone else marks the creature. While it is within 5 feet of you, a creature marked by you has disadvantage on any attack roll that doesn't target you. In addition, if a creature marked by you deals damage to anyone other than you, you can make a special melee weapon attack against the marked creature as a bonus action on your next turn. You have advantage on the attack roll, and if it hits, the attack's weapon deals extra damage to the target, equal to half your fighter level. Regardless of the number of creatures you mark, you can make this special attack a number of times equal to your strength modifier, minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest.
Wow.
I was very impressed by that. That is a 3rd level ability.
That's like the Sentinel feat mixed with Battlemaster sprinkled in.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. So that's balanced.
I thought that was... I actually thought it was very interesting. In order to get this class, this player ended up dropping quite a few AC in order to shift over. So a trade-off to being hit more often is he's also ensured that others aren't hit as often. And the extra damage that he dealt wasn't that big of a deal, because most of the time a fighter finds some way of rolling an extra attack because of a bonus action anyway. So that wasn't so much of a concern. It was, in the past, I've had players that wanted to do control and things, and they usually centered around the spell Compelled Duel. But that's always been a very lackluster version of control. And so this did a very, very simple method. I liked it personally. So yeah, that was just a highlight from one of my games earlier.
Well, and something with Cavalier, previous versions, it always feels like as soon as you don't have your mount, you're effectively just a waste of space. As long as you're on your horse, things are great. But most adventuring groups, you're not spending all of your time on mounts, right? You go into a dungeon and your horse is not coming with you. I know 5th edition hasn't really focused too much on mounted combat. There's just not a lot compared to other systems of rules and that kind of a thing. So how do you think, I guess, the mechanics fit with the flavor? Is it really just a fighter that they're kind of calling a Cavalier, and he has some stuff to make him a rider, but that's not so critical? He'll still be an effective fighter all on his own? Or is it something where they're still trying to encourage the Cavalier to have like a particular mount and a focus on his mounted combat?
So in our experience, this campaign, this group, is the only group where I've ever had a player that actively pursued mounted combat. And she struggled to do it effectively, find the right moments to do it. She was a paladin, had a giant lizard as her steed, Weigl, great character, lots of story built around her. But mounted combat didn't really. She was always trying to wait for the next thing that would help make mounted combat effective. And so up until now, I've never really seen mounted combat work often, and fit. I think the Cavalier, I've not seen him in mounted, so I can't really judge on that, but it seems like an individual who not only is pretty good by normal standards, but would be especially good in mounted combat because all of his abilities, all of his extras work well either way. I found sometimes players get confused when it comes to mounted combat, and I think his abilities blend well to being mounted as well as not. Especially level 15, I think whether mounted or not, you get to make, when you make an attack and you've moved 10 foot, you can charge and knock a creature prone. Which is pretty neat. Whether you're mounted or not, you're doing the charging attack, so it's neat. Anything from you guys? This is the first opportunity that I think Matthew and Stephen have had a chance to really pour through Xanathar's guide. Are there any things that you particularly liked and stood out to you?
Back up to this one.
Or anyone else? It's not exclusive to just Matthew and
Well,
Steve.
1 second. I'm on D&D Beyond, and I've been looking through some other rules, and I just wanted to get back, make sure I was looking at it. I really liked how it opened up a lot of extra classes. I didn't poke into any of the DM stuff because that's more for a DM, and I'm this last week I've been focusing on character creation more than anything. I do wish I was trying to find. I wish there was something more with additional backgrounds. And I know they have the rules where you can mix and match and create your own backgrounds, but I thought that would have been an area where they could have added more. Because going through kind of my character concept when I've got no background really fits well with what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to have to kind of do the mix and match option with your help to make sure it's not broken. So that's something I guess I would have liked to see. All of the actual expanded character classes, they all seem neat and they all seem unique, and they're clearly well play tested given the extensive review they've done on it beforehand. So those are kind of my thoughts.
Okay. When you're talking about backgrounds, did you check out the This Is Your Life chapter of Xanathar's Guide?
I did, and I guess what I was...
And what did you think of that?
I liked it. It actually gave me some additional ideas about family background and other things that were really helpful. Certainly the section on This Is Your Life, if you wanted to sit down and just say, I'm going to random generate a character, that's always easy to do with mechanics, but it's always been difficult to do with just your background and motivations and who you are and what your relationship is from. As a DM or a player, this will auto-generate basically the entire character you need. Motivations, background, everything else that's going on. It doesn't explain anything about a mechanical change, though, right? The advantage of the backgrounds in the book are that it gives you some sort of feature bonus and some sort of proficiencies and mechanical bonus. And so those were kind of the things I was looking at. The This Is Your Life helped me understand the background, and I really love that. So that is certainly a huge boon towards if you just can't figure out a background, but you kind of know the mechanics you want to play, you can just roll up all of your background, and that's certainly helpful.
In that This Is Your Life, I particularly liked, didn't really look at it until this week, the section where it talks about personal decisions and backgrounds. And it poses the question, I became then the background, because. So, for example, I became a charlatan because I learned early on that people are gullible and easy to exploit. Right there and then, that's one sentence that really, that's the kind of, I'm the kind of person that, I know that people can be exploited. I like that. And immediately you can build up why are you a charlatan because of that. I like that. You were going to say something, Stephen?
Yeah, I liked that chapter a lot just because, like, I knew what. Well, I guess I don't know if it's actually going to fit into these slots when I actually make the character, but I know what slots I want all of my things to fit into. Like, I know I want my cleric to be a hermit, but thinking of why somebody would do that, it's kind of hard to come up with it from a role-playing perspective, but looking at the table, seeing the different ideas kind of helps to get your mind going, so you don't have to use one of those 6 options, but you can build up from there, and you have a good idea of what could really explain that and why that could fit in within the context of the setting and the character and how it could intersect kind of with everything else going on.
Cool. Yeah. Anything else that you guys have stood out to you this past week while you've been thinking more about character creation?
I like all the little common magic items. Just all like wondrous items have always been fun for me because they're usually not like super useful mechanically, but they always have a fun little flair to them. And so it's always fun to see what new ones kind of crop up.
There's a spell in Xanathar's called Catnap. It's a 3rd level spell that you can. I think it's a 3rd level spell, but it lets you put up to 3 characters or 3 targets to sleep and gain the benefits of a short rest, which is something that takes an hour, but they get to do it in 10 minutes. I think that's a neat spell. I saw someone questioning how that would work with elves, however, since they're immune to magical sleep. And they got a response from Jeremy Crawford. It says, actually, elves are not immune to the unconscious status. So even though you're putting them to sleep for a catnap, what you're really doing is you're making them
rendering them
unconscious
unconscious
for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a way around, the sleep spell would not work on an elf because it puts them in a slumber, but making them unconscious for 10 minutes gets around the Fey ancestry thing. And as folks specialized in legalese, I thought you guys would appreciate the way around.
No, that's important. Yeah.
That immediately stands out to me as while they were developing this spell, they knew someone would pose that question, and so that's why they said fall unconscious instead of put them to sleep.
Yeah. I actually also noticed, and I like because I was thinking about with my character that we're building today, that he would do a lot of potion brewing of healing potions, and I like that they kind of made the brewing magic potions or healing potions make more sense, because as they were originally, it cost as much money to craft a potion as it costs to buy it, and you would have to spend 2 full 8-hour days making it. But now at least they cut the cost in half, and it only takes 1 day, so they're a little more. It makes a little more sense, so that you would they'd be a viable option to do as a character to actually brew potions and be able to do that wherever you are. So it kind of makes more utility there, which I enjoy.
Now, going back to Catnap, Carl, as you brought it up, would you consider a 3rd level spell to be worth a short rest for 3 creatures?
It's very situational. I mean, if you have character classes that have things that refresh on short rests, like warlocks can get spell slots back. Wizards, to a degree, can get their spell slots back. Battle master fighters can get their maneuvers back. And I mean, if we don't have a whole lot of healing spells available, you can buy hit dice. So it's one of those situational things. Something
so
that
it could be really good, could be really bad.
Yeah, it's something to have in the arsenal, but not an always good option.
I think from my point of view, I probably would be less likely to have a random encounter interrupt your short rest if your short rest only lasts 10 minutes. So I could do that sometimes. All right. Anything else before we jump into the character creation portion of today's session? Nope.
Nothing before we get started, but I would kind of like to dominate the first chunk of the actual character creation, just to run some ideas.
Okay, so
because Aaron, I've talked to Aaron about my character concepts, but I kind of want to run it by everybody else before we get into making it, if that's cool.
Now, before he goes, guys, we've had experience in the past of inter-party conflicts, and as he describes his thing, I would like to impress upon you. I have warned him. I have discussed it in detail with him that should an inter-party conflict happen, his character would suddenly and irrevocably die. So,
right, and more importantly, this is meant to be a fun game with friends. And so I want to hear from other people what you think and what can be done. So let me explain briefly where I'm coming from. When I first did this, I thought I might sort of be a cleric, like a healing guy, but I didn't really want to be a healing guy. So I decided I'd try to look at sorcerer options, and then I saw the divine soul option, which cool, I can get some cleric stuff, I can do some healing, I can do that other stuff. So this immediately made me think, dude, wouldn't it be hilarious if I was a tiefling who'd been touched by Asmodeus? Yeah.
Pronunciation of both of those things are off, so it's okay.
Sure. But then he had also been like divine souled by some good god, right? So there's like this really great dichotomy in him or whatever. Well, then Steven kind of said he wants to do like just a straight cleric. And so I'm thinking, okay, like I don't have to do healing then. I can just focus on damage dealing, but I still like this idea of favored soul. Wouldn't it be hilarious if you had a tiefling who is infernal by ancestry, but then also he's a divine soul of an evil god. So he's like doubly evil. So for some reason, he's got his sorcerer powers from Asmodeus. How am I supposed to pronounce that?
I like that one.
Asmodeus. All right. So he's got his sorcerer power origin from there, divine soul from there, and his ancestry is that way. But if you're going to do that, the character has to be evil. He just has to be a bad guy. So my idea of, I'll kind of be like a favorite soul literally devolved into, I want to make a character who is literally the devil. Like in look and appearance. So here's kind of what I was thinking. I want to know if it's worthwhile having a sorcerer at all. It feels like we've got one tank with a paladin, and then everyone else is a little standoffish. So I worry that maybe we need a rogue, or maybe we need some sort of alternate class to fill some party gaps, A. But then B, if I do this option, my character would be lawful evil, but he's not going to be a dick, okay? We go lawful. He's completely upfront with everybody about what he is and what he wants. He's literally like an avatar for Asmodeus. Like the idea is there are lots of people who could be avatars, and if one day he becomes powerful enough, then he will be a vessel for his god, which he's kind of excited about. So he wants to become powerful. He wants to go out and learn and grow. But he also is trying to learn the whole, I'm a devil who makes deals with people and does contracts and that kind of thing. So as a player, he would never backstab the group. Okay, he'd be very upfront with you guys that like, I'm an avatar for Asmodeus. If you run with me, it's like a deal. When I say evil, he would be mostly selfish, meaning, well, what's in it for me, right? You kind of have to incentivize him to do one thing or another. Like if it's easier to kill someone than not, and everyone says, well, we shouldn't kill him. It's like, well, why not? Like, give me some good reason why this is good for me individually. So that's what I'm thinking. He might be bad to NPCs, but he's not going to get more powerful without help from the group. And I presume there's some sort of quid pro quo going on where there's some sort of contract. I'm really thinking it's a combination, if you know the characters, of the singing demon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who never actually gets a name, but he's he goes by Sweets, and Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time, who's just always making deals, and people come to him and they know they shouldn't, but he's helpful and he'll stick to a deal. But certainly you should read the fine print. That's kind of what I'm thinking about making. And again, I don't want, though, like Aaron says, there have been cases of inter-party conflict, even when everyone's trying to be like good characters on the same page. I have no interest in causing any drama or any problems between players, because this is my spare time where I like to come and hang out and play with you guys. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts about it, both on a mechanical, does this make sense for a party, but then also on a, well, interpersonal, is this a character that people would be cool playing with, or should we do something else?
Well, I think that it is an interesting character concept being lawful evil. Lawful we can work with, I think.
Yeah.
But it has to be handled with utmost care. I think you should go into it with the idea there are going to be a lot of crack scenarios with your guy in it. So he's going to try to be evil demon guy, and people are going to be tossing flowers around him and stuff. So I'd say kind of go in with the perspective that that is likely to happen. And so long as you're open to doing that sort of thing without turning around and punching someone in the face for it as your character.
Well, no, and I think
it might be doable.
That's right. And I think part of this, Steven and I, we kind of want to have a character background, which, again, I think this is hilarious. If Steven is like the cleric of a good god, and I am literally like the vessel of an evil god, and we're campaigning together, where it's kind of like we both know who each other are, and we're both trying to be an influence on them. Like Steven's character thinks, I can be a good influence. I can convince him to be good. And my character's like, I can corrupt this guy over time, surely, if we hang out together long enough. So kind of an odd couple idea there. But again, because there's kind of this like quid pro quo, you will have, again, my character is not going to punch anybody in the face, and having a background with Steven, there will be reasons why he will put up with do-goodery. So I don't think that'll be a problem. Plus, as a player, I don't want to like murder NPCs. So, yeah.
I also think just with the scope of, since we're going into Tomb of Annihilation, a lawful evil character would still want to go towards the same end that any other characters. Like if he was chaotic and he just wanted to revel in the madness that was happening because of all of the problems going on, then I could see why that could be a problem. But if you're the vessel or the to-be vessel of a lawful evil god, he's still going to want souls that exist for him to claim in the afterlife or to lord over. And if people are dying, it's not in his interest to have them just kind of disappear out. So even if we have like inter-party ethical conflicts, if we're all seeking the same goal of promoting our chosen god's best interests, I think it'll be easy to find an accord metagame-wise to work in to the characters, so we prevent any kind of conflict that would happen that could derail the game.
Well, and I've been sufficiently. Sorry, go ahead, Casey.
Sorry. So you're saying you kind of like being in the mindset of don't kill anyone permanently. They're all future worshippers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I mean, I know for my character, because I was actually going to choose Kelemvor, who's lawful neutral, but like he's not going to want anybody to die permanently because Kelemvor is the god of death, and if people die, then they're not going to pass through him. So, I mean, you and I might come into conflict in the sense that you'll be like, it's fine, he can die, but to me that would be an issue. But if we're trying to see that our gods in general are able to have the right kind of power over mortals, none of us are going to want the soulmonger to exist to any extent. So it should work out.
I have two thoughts. And initially, I just no problem with the character concept. So first thought is just because Asmodeus favors your character doesn't mean you have to reciprocate. There's one take on it. You could be an unrequited love. You could spurn Asmodeus. But lawful evil, like you say, number two, is really just a selfish character. So evil doesn't have to have that connotation of I'm going to drink the blood of this innocent child. It's just what's in it for me is perfectly reasonable for a lawful evil character. So
certainly, and a vampire is going to suck the blood of that innocent child, and I can stop him. But why? I mean, what does that benefit me? Now, in terms of killing, quote unquote, I have been sufficiently concerned about this. I've done it's weird surfing forums on like how to be a good evil character. And there's the idea like, look, you know, an evil character alone is just a hermit. You need people around you, like sycophants and stuff. So in a group, your adventuring party may view you as like equals, but you're thinking over time these will become my minions. And I have to treat them well enough that they'll stick with me. So I'm going to treat them just good enough. You know, is it better to be loved or feared? Well, the paladin could probably kill me. So let's start with loved. And then after they love me, then let's see if we can get them to fear me. And we'll go that way. So again, I think it'll work.
there's also one other, there's another side to the coin of, as a paladin who's going to be the face and has high charisma, and as a sorcerer who is not necessarily the face but will also have high charisma, whereas the paladin will do good for good's own reward. It might be nice to have someone who's equally as persuasive, who can also say, hey, what, shouldn't we be getting paid for this? So in character, the paladin might not seek out a reward, but having another character who could be seeking that out on behalf of the party.
Sure.
Even
What
if
you're
they,
saying is that with our powers combined, we are neutral.
it's the power of friendship is really what it is.
That's right. Well, and here was my question, because yeah, I am trying to crank up my charisma stats as high as I can, and I'm trying to max out proficiency on as many charisma-based skills as possible.
There's
But
that
this
word
is where
again, max.
max. Well, max isn't the right word, but yeah, it's the right word. The concern then, and here's my earlier question about party composition. And I don't want to metagame too much, but since this is character creation, I'm just going to metagame because we can. Is that a situation where, well, we're going to be super great in social situations, but nobody can open a lock, right? Like,
well,
all it
Casey's
takes
very
is a locked
strong.
door
She
and
could punch the
screwed.
wall down.
Well, that's true.
I think Ty's character has us covered on the roguey type things for
Okay.
stealth and proficiencies in thieves' tools. I'm pretty sure I heard him say that.
Yeah, he's got a lot of.
Plus, after you guys have started, after you've played a couple sessions, you may have situations where one or two players have the opportunity to roll an additional character, and at that
That's
point
fair.
can actually assess how the campaign is running, what are the kinds of things that we're having to deal with, and how is the party currently dealing with it. If the current party are failing when it comes to their survival rate against this, then maybe I built an adventurer that was specialized in this and see how that adjusts the group.
All right. Well, those were my concerns. Those were my thoughts. And provided everyone thinks that can be a good character combination, like a good class and build for the group, and as long as people are cool with just a selfish jerk who isn't going to backstab anybody and isn't going to cause drama in the group, but who may take a little convincing for altruistic activities, that's fine by me.
I think you'll become novelty after the first session. So I'm down
Sure.
for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, since I just dominated that, Steven, do you want to just kind of pitch your idea? I guess.
Sure.
Since
Well, I
you guys
was.
have been over already.
Yeah. Well, I know originally I was thinking of going like a full healer life cleric, but we were talking in the chat. And with the grave domain in Xanathar's guide, and I did look a little bit more into that. It does actually
Isn't that
look
the
like
one that's like you're kind of a zombie type thing?
it's primarily, it looks like it's a lot of like anti-undead stuff. The thematic element is that you, or at least the thematic element as it would apply to Kellenvor, is that you are opposed to, I mean, specifically the undead, because I know Kellenvor is very anti-undeath, but also making sure that those that die are dying in the appropriate way, that they're not dying unnaturally, that they're not, that their rites are being done however would be appropriate, so that when they pass on into their afterlife, they're passing on appropriately. So where you have the life domain, which is entirely about continuing life, they will die. People will die eventually, and that's fine, but it's really about promoting life. And the death domain on the opposite end, the grave domain, is kind of a middle ground, at least as I've seen it. So it has a lot of spells to prevent an unwanted death, but otherwise works out. So like, as was pointed out, it gets to cast, and I can't remember the name of the cantrip off the top of my head, but as a bonus action at range to stabilize the dying, which would, in a particularly lethal game like Tomb of Annihilation, would make it so if any of you guys drop, I could, if I'm out of spells, I can just heal you, at least to the point that you're not on the ground or that you're conscious or not dying. Or it also has a feature where I think if you're at 0 hit points, your healing spells do maximum healing without rolls. So before I have to go to just the instant stabilizations, like my healing spells will be more effective at that time. And that synergizes well with, I wanted him to be kind of fat, kind of tanky. So he could also be healing people, but primarily one of his main ways of preventing people from dying is by preventing situations from happening where they will die, which is why I wanted to take my first level in fighter to get the protection, so I can put some disadvantage on attacks against players that are next to me with the shield. I wanted to go high con so that I could absorb hits, so that, I mean, if I'm putting disadvantage on attacks to people next to me, presumably I'll be drawing hits to myself, so I have high con so I can sponge damage, and I can live long enough to heal people if they're falling down. With fighter, I'll get the heavy armor, so I'll be able to be thick enough to hopefully avoid damage, and all that. And that's just kind of the crunchy aspect. But fluff-wise, I wanted a Cleric of Kalimvor. I was thinking he was a gravedigger who was he had some kind of tumultuous upbringing that led him into kind of a life of hermitage, where he was taken in by another Cleric of Kalimvor, and they kind of served Kalimvor by overseeing the graves, the cemetery in their village, making sure that no undead did rise from the graves, that nothing untoward was happening. And I don't know if this is going to square with actually the way the campaign's going to start, but just as a way to get him into it, possibly his mentor was raised from the dead at one point. So when everything starts going, his mentor returns to death, and that would notify my character, and presumably Kalimvor would also be aware of this and not wanting it to continue happening, to find out whatever's going on, whatever the root cause of this is, so that he can correct it, and that we can make sure that life and death goes on as it should.
Couple thoughts just before anyone else mentions anything. I do need to just clarify that you understand that resurrection magic of any form does not work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You can bring creatures back from the dead in a form of making them undead, but you cannot restore the soul to the body.
Right.
Okay?
I presume that magic or spells that allow you to communicate with the dead are still cool, are still okay, such as if the corpse can talk or something like that. But because that isn't truly returning the soul to the body, right?
Any soul that has died, any creature that has died from the moment in which the soulmonger started, is literally trapped and has a chance of being destroyed every day. You will not be able to communicate with any souls that have died since the start of the soulmonger, because they can't be contacted. They can't be reached by any means. And that's why the resurrection magic won't work, because all of the resurrection spells mention things like if the soul is free or willing, then it returns to the body. You pull the soul and put it back into the body. The soul can't leave where it is. So all of them fail. So as a result of that clarification, You understand that Grave Domain usually gives you Revivify at 3rd level. You will get Revivify, but you will know and understand that it won't work.
Yes, and I think Life Domain has just as many features that would have been useless with it anyways. It wasn't really a big trade-off. It was just basically a decision of, do I prevent people from dying better, or do I heal them a little better? And I felt like preventing them from dying fit thematically with the campaign a little bit better, and will probably mechanically work a little bit better for the group as well.
So just initial thoughts about why your character might be just a spitball idea. In whatever town that you guys were in, you had a very delicate balance, being the custodians over the graves. People, when they die, get buried, you take care of and make sure that they're buried. All of a sudden, throughout your time and career, there is an even balance of people that get buried and an even balance of people that get resurrected, because people can pay for it and people request the resurrection and all of that. All of a sudden, the resurrection isn't working. Your business is overflowing, but in a bad way, and you need to solve this problem. Just a spitball idea. All right.
Well, I was actually curious, because how does the Soulmonger, if we notice, does it affect those who have been resurrected in the past? Do their souls leave, or are they okay?
As you will start the campaign, and this is, I don't mind mentioning this over Twitch, because this is the introduction to Tomb of Annihilation, you will have the death curse explained to you. And if you don't want to listen, turn away now, or mute it. The death curse has 2 parts. One is that no creature can be resurrected while the Soulmonger is active. Their soul is immediately, from the moment they die, separated from their body. The second effect is any creature that has previously been brought back to life, anyone that has been resurrected previously, will slowly die again. Their hit point maximum will reduce by 1 hit point every day. So, for example, Casey, what's Loic's hit point maximum right now?
Let me tell you specifically that information. It is 83.
83. So, should Loic be affected by the death curse, he would have 83 days before his soul is ripped from his body and locked inside the Soulmonger. So that's what you would know and understand from the moment you start. Yep.
Right. Okay.
And so therein becomes part of the crux of the campaign. Every single person, whether they are good, evil, neutral, wherever they've come from, they are all being thrown into the jungles of Chult because everyone has to deal with this death curse. Everyone in the world has to deal with it. I thought about why an evil character would be joining this group of adventurers. Is maybe a previous villain in the campaign that we've been running has been resurrected by his cult followers, but the death curse is affecting him, so he needs to send someone to go and adventure and solve this problem, and he comes across people that are associated with the people that killed him, like a nice round circle in that affair. So there are lots of reasons why you would have multiple adventurers in Chult at one time, hence why I don't feel bad it being extremely deadly. On that note, specifically because you're talking about spare the dying and whatnot, while I don't expect a character to die every session, I expect a character to drop to 0 hit points.
He doesn't expect them to die every session.
No. I do expect a character to drop to 0 hit points every session or so. Because that's how dangerous the uncharted lands are and should be. All right. So, if there's nothing else, we will jump right into the actual character creation portion. We've got the ideas, we've got the backstory, the thoughts that are in play, and we'll probably go through this a little bit quicker than we did last week. We know how we want to do it. We'll jump through it. We'll start out we're going to do the rolls for the ability scores. So as you guys know, my personal rules, these are just mine. Anyone else can have their own rules. DMs elsewhere do their own things at their own tables. But I will allow you guys to roll 2 sets of ability scores. Choose the better one. If you don't like either of those, you then take standard array or points by. So I would let you choose to either roll them both in Roll20 or roll one in Roll20 and one in physical and actually show us the values. So we'll start out with Matthew. For your first set of ability scores, what would you like to do? Roll20 or
I'll
physical?
roll one in Roll20 and one physical. That way, if I get low scores on both, it's proof that the dice and computer-generated algorithm gods want me to suffer.
Exactly. That's why we do it.
That's right. This way, 2 different beings of luck and chance can rain on my parade.
Okay, then go ahead and roll your first set of ability scores in Roll20.
Now, I need to apologize because it's been a long time since I've done this. I'm still rolling a d20, right?
No, so ability scores, you are rolling 4d6 and you're dropping the lowest one. So in terms of the Roll20 command, you can do a number of things. The quickest thing is just square bracket, 4d6, d1. And then the other square bracket. Or you can copy the template that's been given. So that was a roll.
Oh, there it is.
How about I just roll all on Roll20 because I've got the command and that's...
Yeah, just copy Casey's command.
Let's see, 4d20 d1.
No.
4d6
Look
d1.
at the Skype
That'd be
chat.
great, though.
Look, Matthew,
That
jump
wouldn't be so
into the Skype chat. Casey has posted a template that will do it for you. Just copy and paste that into the Roll20 chat.
Ooh, fancy. Okay.
Okay, so your first set, 11, 9, 9, 12, 17, not bad, and 12. So, not
All
bad.
right, now I got to get... Let's see.
Well, we'll go around and do the Roll20 rolls for everyone first, and then we'll do your physical rolls, okay?
All right, while you do that, I'll mess with my camera and get this set up.
Okay.
So, carry on.
So, Stephen,
Yes.
would you like to roll your first ability scores?
I will. I'll put them in Roll20. I'm going to do Roll20 in live as well. Hopefully Roll20 will treat me good. Ooh, I got an 18, so that's fun.
Yeah, so a 13, 8, 18, 11, 10, and an 11.
Everything else
Nice.
is garbage.
All right.
that 8 is a pretty bad roll.
Move to Carl. Do you want to roll a set in Roll20?
I will do a set in Roll20.
Now, when we say you can roll in both, are we saying you have to take the full d20 set or the full hand-rolled set? Or can it be my first roll in d20
Nope.
and my first handwritten roll?
Full sets. You pick a full set.
Ah, okay. I need more d6s. Hold on.
Wow, that's incredibly average.
Not bad.
9,
Not good.
13, 12, 12, 13, and 13. Okay. And Casey, jump in and throw us one. Not bad. 13, 14, 17, 8, 12, and 15. All right. Matthew, where did you go?
He's getting his dices.
Okay. So, Matthew.
Yeah.
Time for you to
All right,
roll
so-
your physical set. So you're rolling 4d6,
That's right.
and then you are going to total up the 3 highest values.
All right. Being thematically appropriate, I've got red and black dice.
I forgot to ask last time. Do we re-roll ones? Is that what Roll20 is doing for us?
No.
No, it's
No,
not.
it shouldn't be.
Okay.
Are we supposed to be re-rolling ones at all?
No.
I
No,
would love to
it's-
reroll one.
Okay,
No.
great. So I got, oh gosh, this is going to be complicated. Okay, 5, 5, and 4, so 14. Can someone note
14.
this down since my
Yeah.
hands are full with a camera and some dice?
Second one.
Okay, 6, 6, 1, 1. Second 13. 13. Ooh, 6, 6, 5, and 1.
Nice. 17.
Or 17. The dice gods are where we're at. Sweet.
Dang.
6, 6, 3. Okay. 5, 2, 3. That's, so 5, 5, 13. How many? Do I need one more?
Yeah, one more.
And
Goodness.
6, 6, 5.
Goodness.
So
Who
another
are you?
17.
Right.
So
Clearly,
that total set.
for this game, not only my character but myself actually made a deal with the devil. For that.
And you're just playing a sorcerer. You're playing a 1 ability score class. Maybe we should switch. You could be the cleric and I'll be the sorcerer.
So, Matthew, while everyone else is rolling their physical rolls, please pick between the two sets. I'm pretty sure we know which set you're going to go for. Carl has written them out in Roll20 for you to jot down. And then also choose where you're going to apply those ability scores. Start thinking about your race, class, and all of that as a result of those scores. So, let's go with Stephen. Roll some physical dice for us.
Such a letdown now, though. Let me see if I can get this. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if I can set this up. Yeah, you guys. Oh, you guys can see that spot now. Oh. 10. Can you see it from where it is?
Yeah, we can see it.
Cool.
It's yeah.
14.
14. Okay.
Uh, 12.
Okay.
11.
All right. 2 more.
12.
12. Okay. And 1 more.
14.
14. Okay. So you got a 10, 14, 12, 11, 12, and 14. Fairly standard average rolls. Okay. So same thing to you, Stephen. Take a look at the two sets that you rolled between that one and the first in Roll20, and then choose which one you're going to go for and which ability scores and attributes. You know what? So, Carl.
Oh, I gotta flip my camera. It's kind of confusing.
That's an A, 1.
Okay.
Six, 6, 5. Right.
That's what it looks like. Yes.
17. All right.
Someone got that for me? Oh,
Yep,
yes.
I'm writing it down. So 17.
8. Oh, can you guys see that? Yeah. 5, 6, 4, so 15. Five, 6, 4. Another 15.
Okay.
$11.
And 1 more.
5, 3, 3, 11.
Okay, so that is 17, 8, 15, 15, 11, and 11. Okay, so I'll take some time, choose between the two sets. I think you'd probably go for this one, the physical one.
Yeah.
And then start thinking about where you're going to place those ability scores. We will now witness as, through the magic of television, Casey begins to roll through Carl's screen. I will type it into Roll20.
Thank you.
So what have we got there?
5, 6, and 3. That is
14.
14.
Two sixes and a 5.
2 6s and a 5. Is that? I can't see.
Yep, 2 6s and a 5.
17.
Mm-hmm.
She's shaking up those dice good.
4 and 2 3s.
4 and
That's a 10.
3 threes. Yeah, 10.
Okay.
Sixty-two 4s.
That's a 14.
14.
That's not right. Come on, triple six. Dang it!
Oh.
What is
And
that?
there's the.
It's a 1.
A 1. So
3 and 2 2s.
that's a 7.
Oh.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a Grog
Thanks.
Strong Jock character if I've ever heard of one.
4.
7. Okay. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. One more set.
2 6s and a 1.
13.
So 13. Okay. So 14, 17, 10, 14, 7, and 13. Okay. So Casey, spend some time thinking and figure out which set you're gonna take, where you're gonna place it, and start preparing your race, class, background, and all of those options. All right. So we jump back to Matthew. Have you figured out what you're doing with your ability scores?
Well, I'm going to go with my first set and just. No, I'm joking. All right, so here's where I think I'll do. I will put 18 into Charisma. And then I'm going to put my 2 17s into Con and Intelligence. And then 14 into Wisdom. And then my 13 into Strength and Dex. And I'm plugging this into the D&D Beyond Builder, by the way.
Fair enough. Okay, so which character race are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for a Tiefling, but a variant Tiefling.
Yeah, which variant tiefling are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for the Devil's Tongue variant. Let's see.
So the Devil's Tongue. Okay. Yep. So you know the Vicious Mockery cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast Charm Person spell as a 2nd level spell once with this trait. When you reach 5th level, you can cast the Enthrall spell once with this trait. You must finish a long rest to cast these spells once again with this trait. Okay.
And part of the reason I wanted to do Sorcerer is I've always just done the sword and board guy. I haven't done much magic, so I'm trying to teach myself how to do this. So I am occasionally going to ask for just rule clarification to help me understand. So is that saying when at 3rd level I can cast Charm Person with this, and at 5th level I can do Enthrall? Does that mean when I'm at 6th level I can only do one of the two, or I have access to both of them at 6th level once?
So what this is saying is you can cast Charm Person, like let's say you picked Charm Person as a spell that you learned to be able to use as a level up.
Right.
What this is saying is that once per long rest, you can cast Charm Person as part of the trait.
But without actually burning one of my 2nd level slots. Because I can cast it as a 2nd level spell, but I'm not actually casting a 2nd level spell out of my spell slots. Because this is the question. Is this giving me essentially one extra spell of 2nd level? Or is this just widening my repertoire of abilities?
I believe this is just giving you extra spells so that you don't have to take them. It will still take your spell slots.
Okay.
But you are only able to do it once per long rest. So when you're at 6th level, you can cast Charm Person and Enthrall, but you can only cast either of them once.
Okay.
Okay.
So at 6th level, I can cast, provided I have the spell slots for them, Enthrall and Charm Person, and they eat up my spell slots. But I could do both of those before the long rest.
Yes, but as soon as you rolled one of them, you can't roll that one again unless you had learned that spell through normal means.
Sure. I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that like using Charm Person doesn't exhaust Devil's Tongue and I can't use Enthrall. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So you're taking the variant Tiefling. So, well, just Tiefling in general. Tieflings, your intelligence score will increase by 1. Your charisma score increases by 2. Base walking speed is 30. You have dark vision to 60 feet. You have resistance to fire damage. That could come in handy. You know the thaumaturgy. This is, you're taking the variant, so this will.
I'm taking the variant, so I don't have thaumaturgy.
Yeah,
I will be taking that as a cantrip though, because again, I think this is just hilarious. Every time he walks into the room, there will be the distant sound of thunder. Ominous thunder.
Cool. All right. And then you can speak, read, and write Infernal. Common and Infernal. Cool. All right. Then we move to Stephen.
Right.
Have you chosen which set you're taking and where you're putting them?
I want some input from the group because I'm a little torn. On the one hand, the 18 means I can have an 18 wisdom, so my spellcasting stat will be very high. And that also means, since the other rolls are lower, I can pick a race that doesn't feature wisdom as one of its things and kind of boost those up. Although I worry that that'll just make the average stats otherwise just still average, just less so. Alternatively, and I don't know if this is really a good option either, I can go with the other rolls and have kind of middling stats, but also, so like basically have a lower spellcasting stat, but kind of be covered around everywhere else. I went that way. I was looking at, and I know I was kind of joking about this in the chat, but going Tortle with the strength and wisdom increase would make that second roll a little more viable. I'd make one of the 14s into a 15, and I would probably bump one of the 12s up to 14, or maybe another 14 up to 16 for strength. He would have the natural AC that would be high enough, and 17 just by existing, and then presumably a shield would boost that up more. So he would still be thick, even though he wouldn't be as thick as I was wanting him to be. But he would also be able to deal a decent amount of damage in melee if it came to it. But his spellcasting stat won't be nearly as high, so I'm not sure if that's worth the trade-off, considering I wanted to be kind of our primary keep everyone alive. So I don't know, maybe if everybody else has some thoughts on that.
From a DM standpoint, story standpoint,
yeah,
being a turtle provides you with very strong reasons and a very rich Cholton background.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like Casey's Yonti that she's written up in the last session. It's one that is very easily full of story and roleplay opportunities. So from that point of view, from a non-combat mechanic, your turtle would be a great option. But that's non-combat, and I tend to think non-combat.
I mean, I tend to as well. I just don't want him to be a total letdown for the group mechanically, because even if non-combat wise, it's very good and rich. If he dies within 2 rounds, it's still not still won't serve us very well.
Something nice about the turtle is you don't need armor.
Right, and I was kind of thinking that would be.
So if you're trying to fill a role of a tank, or at least off tank, and we already have a tank, the fact that you don't need armor means you guys won't compete for a drop of nice armor.
That's true.
So that's true. One benefit.
I guess the only concern I have is really, does my wisdom really need to be higher than a 15 at this point? Like, would it be a huge detriment to the group if it's not as high?
So which class are you going for?
Oh, I'm going fighter for my first level, and then cleric for 2 levels.
Okay. Your wisdom modifier directly controls the amount of spells you have prepared for a day.
I would only get 2 extra. So it's your level plus your modifier, right?
As a cleric, yes.
Yeah, so I would have 4 spells prepared per day plus my bonuses, as opposed to 6. I went with 18. And that's across all levels, right? All spell levels?
Across all levels. Yep.
Okay. Can we move on so I can look at what that practically will mean and come back to me after we, unless Casey or Carl needs more time, in which case I can make a on the spot decision.
Also remember, you don't need to stick with this character.
This
is just an exercise in character creation.
That's true. I'm going to do the turtle. I'm going to do the turtle with the stats, because I wanted. Once I was joking about the turtle, I really liked the idea. I just apologize if I guess if I have my healing spell prepared and like Shield of Faith or something, I should be able to help us well enough as it is. Okay. So I'll go the turtle. So then the stats are going to be
you get a +2 to your strength,
right.
+1 to wisdom. You get claws, hold breath, natural armor, shell defense, and survival instinct.
Right. So nice. I'm going to put one of my 14s into wisdom, so that'll become a 15. I'm going to put one of my 12s into strength, so I'll be kind of just all around there. I'll put the other 14 into constitution. I'll put the other 12 into intelligence. I'll put the 11 into charisma, and I'll put the 10 into dex.
Okay. Cool. All right. Cool. Then, right on cue. Carl.
Yes, sir.
Perfect timing. So, have you decided where your ability scores are going to go, and what race you would like to play with them?
Yes. I'm going to be a variant human, and I know where I'm dropping my scores.
Okay. So, being a variant human, the all-important question. So, as people know, variant human, you gain a +1 to 2 different ability scores. You gain proficiency in one particular skill of your choice, and you gain 1 feat. So, which feat are you going to take?
I'm going to take the Prodigy feat, which is a racial feat for humans.
Okay. So you gain 1 skill proficiency of your choice, 1 tool proficiency of your choice, and fluency in 1 language of your choice. Choose 1 skill in which you have proficiency. You gain expertise with that skill, which means your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make with it. The skill you choose must be one that isn't already benefiting from a feature, such as expertise, that doubles your proficiency bonus. Okay, so then which skill proficiency will you be gaining from being a variant human?
Perception.
Perception. And then which skill proficiency will be taking for for the Prodigy?
Perception. I will be, well, I'll pick the skill that I'm going to specialize in is perception. The additional skill will go stealth.
Stealth. Okay. A tool proficiency. Which tool proficiency are you going to take?
So the idea behind this character is the character that senses everything, and as a backup character, it's difficult to generate him now, not knowing what needs we're going to have in the future. And I know Ty's character is going to be the kind of scout, lookout kind of guy, but this character is going to be stepping on those toes a little bit, and stepping on other people's toes as well right now. because I don't know what skill or what role he'll need to fill. But at this moment, he's going to be perceiving as everything that he can perceive. And one of the neat things in Xanathar's regarding skills and tool proficiencies is potentially granting advantage when there's a synergy.
Mhm.
So, for example, I think it was finding secret doors if you have if you're proficient in both perception and thieves tools, because you would know exactly where to look to put a hidden lock of some sort or whatnot. So
Yeah.
skill and thieves tools.
Okay, cool. So you'll be very much the tapping on the wall, looking for the hollow point, looking for the hidden everything. Cool. Sounds good. Then you also get a language. You can
Elvish.
choose anything. Okay, Elvish. Cool. So being a human variant. All right. Then we move to Casey. How you doing, Casey? Have you chosen which scores you're going to go for?
Yeah, no problem there. Strength is going to be a 12. Dexterity will be a 17. Constitution will be 13. Intelligence will be 8. So this will be my third character in a row with intelligence up stat. Good thing I'm getting all that out now. And then 15 for wisdom and 14 for charisma.
Okay. And
I'm
what
interested
race?
who this extremely dexterous idiot is.
Well, I was going to ask you, Aaron, if you would mind if, since I'm playing a UNT, if you wouldn't mind me being a goblin.
I'm perfectly happy with you being a goblin. Any class, race, thing that is official content, I'm more than happy for you to be one. So you're going to be a goblin.
I'm gonna go be a goblin.
Okay, so +2 to your dexterity, +1 to constitution, dark vision, fury of the small, and nimble escape. All right. Cool. So we have, what do we have? We have a tiefling, a variant tiefling, a turtle, a variant human, and a goblin. Walk into a bar.
I like it.
All right, so back around to Matthew. We're talking classes now. Now, bear in mind, so this is Matthew and Stephen's first chance of character creation for Tomb of Annihilation. So while the idea is you're creating your starting character, we can talk afterwards if you want to create a different one, but by the time we actually start. But imagine you are creating your first character, starting off adventuring at level 3. So what class will you go for as a level 3 tiefling, Matthew?
I will be going for a sorcerer with the divine soul origin.
Okay, so sorcerer and divine soul. Right. So let me just do that. So some important things to remember for sorcerers. Your hit dice are 1d6. So your hit points at first level would
That's
be...
the lowest in the game, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Huzzah.
So your hit points at first level is 6 plus your con mod.
Which
And
my con
then-
mod is pretty high.
What is it?
My con mod is, well, the ability score is 17, so my con mod is 3. So
3.
I would start at 9.
Start at 9. And then for every level after that, you can choose to either take 1d6 plus 3 or 7.
You know, the dice did me good last time, so I think I'll just roll 3d6 and pray
Okay.
that...
You're
Like-
coming in at 3rd level, so
Roll,
roll
roll 2 of them.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's right.
2d6 and
Alright.
add 6 to
Oh.
the total.
Really should have taken the average. I got a 3 and a 1.
So your hit points at 3rd level are 19.
Oh no.
That's what
See,
you get with all
when
those high rolls.
I say my character's like, what's in it for me? What it really means is the world's dangerous. I don't want to go anywhere and do anything. Ugh.
Okay. So I'm going to make a bold prediction. Tiefling's going to die first.
Stick close to me and I'll protect you.
Okay, so as a sorcerer, you don't have proficiency in armor. You have proficiency in daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, and light crossbows. Choose 2 skills from Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Religion.
All right. So I really just want to kind of crank out my charisma-based scores. So I'll take Intimidation and Deception.
All right. You start with the following equipment in addition to the equipment granted by your background: a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or any simple weapon. What you going for?
I'm going to go with a simple weapon.
A component pouch or an arcane focus?
Now, if I understand the difference, an arcane focus is just a thing that I can use in place of components.
Yep. And the same thing with a component pouch, really. This is more thematical. Are you the kind of sorcerer that would be rummaging through a bag for the bat guano, the feather, and all
No,
of that
arcane
stuff?
focus. This all comes from inside. I don't need components. I just need my little
Doodad.
doodad, my little carving of Asmodeus that I pet at night and think, I'll be you one day. I'll be you one day. I'll be you one day.
Okay. A Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack?
Let's go Explorer's pack.
Okay, and then 2 daggers. So, you can pick your spells outside the session, take some time to think about what spells you would get and where and how. So, 2nd level, you gain your Font of Magic. Sorcery points. And at 3rd level, you gain Meta Magic options. You gain 2 of the following meta magic options: Careful Spell, Distant Spell, Empowered Spell, Extended Spell, Heightened Spell, Quickened Spell, Subtle Spell, Twin Spell. Which 2 are you going for?
I'm thinking Empowered Spell, because it's the only one that can be stacked on top of other things, and it gives extra damage. I would ask for input from the group, though, for the second one, between Twin Spell, Subtle Spell, and Quickened Spell. So either spend a sorcery point to cast a 2nd spell as a bonus action, or get rid of somatic or verbal components. So if we get stuck in a silence or get locked up and your hands are restrained, you can still cast. Or the Twin Spell, which I can spend sorcery points to hit a 2nd creature on any one spell that I spend.
I'm for the twin.
I'm leaning twin also.
So, from my experience, a couple people over this very weekend, a couple players, have all talked about the twin spell and its bonuses, and they all focus around the idea that you can twin the haste spell.
Nice.
And so, for one casting of spell, 1 concentration of it, and it affects 2 characters. So, for that reason alone, a lot of players go for the twin spell.
Well, if the DM brings it up, I can't say no. All right, we'll do Twin Spell. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So Empowered Spell and Twin Spell. All right. Then your Divine Soul offers you Divine Magic. So, which affinity you're going?
Going
lawfully.
evil.
Yep.
So I get Inflict Wounds.
Inflict Wounds. Okay. Favored by the gods. If you fail a saving throw or miss an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and add it to the total, possibly changing the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And that's it for you.
At this level, that's right.
At this level. All right. So we move on to Stephen.
All right.
So, with your total,
Yes.
what class are you going for?
So 1st level fighter, and then the other 2 levels are going to be cleric.
Okay. So, as a 1st level fighter,
Mm-hmm.
you do that first. Your starting hit points, I believe, will be
10 plus 2, 12?
1d10. Yeah, so
Yeah.
12.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You gain armor, proficiencies in armor, shields, simple weapons, martial weapons, strength and constitution saving throws. Choose 2 skills from acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival.
Right. So I think I'm going to go... I think I'm going to go animal handling.
Okay.
And now, actually, this is where I'm curious. So because I did want him to be able to kind of brew potions, what skill would he need to use to like look for if he would have to like seek out the components? Would that be survival? Would that be medicine? Would it be something else?
Okay, so in order to create a potion, to brew a potion,
Yeah.
you will need a herbalism kit.
Right, and that'll come with the background that I'm.
That'll come with the background.
Yeah.
So if you have proficiency in the herbalism kit,
Mhm.
you add your proficiency bonus plus, I believe it would be wisdom
Mhm.
that you would apply. If you take a wisdom-based skill to get proficiency with, and would use that as part of the tool proficiency, as Carl mentioned earlier with the thieves' tools and the perception. Or actually, no, it doesn't have to necessarily be a wisdom skill. So, what skill would you consider to be useful for using a herbalism kit?
I would say certainly medicine, which also comes with the background. So
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm dipping around there, so I know that I'm covering everything that I want. So then for my second one, so would you say that's a fair bet, medicine?
It is a fair bet, but when you start out as first level, you don't get medicine as an option.
Right. Well, that's one of the skills for the background. So I'm gonna shelf that for when we get to that point.
So you've gone for animal handling and what
insight.
else? Insight. Okay, cool. So you start with the following equipment: chainmail or leather armor, longbow, and 20 arrows.
Well, I'm not wearing armor at all, but I guess I still pick one. So I'll just go chainmail. I'm not going to be having the hands to use the longbow and 20 arrows either.
Okay. A martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons.
So I'll do the martial weapon and shield, a longsword.
Longsword. Okay. Light crossbow and 20 bolts, or 2 hand axes.
Light crossbow and 20 bolts.
Okay, and then Dungeoneer's pack or Explorer's pack.
Dungeoneers.
Okay, so first level fighters get a fighting style. You adopt a particular style of fighting: archery, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, or 2 weapon fighting.
I'm going to do protection.
Protection, okay. So you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attack roll while you're using a shield. Okay. You gain second wind at first level, so 1d10 plus your fighter level in health. All right.
Great.
That's your fighter sorted. Now, second level, you are multi-classing into cleric.
Right.
So first of all, we clarify what you gain in terms of coming into a cleric. You gain proficiency in light armor, medium armor, and shields. Okay. If you didn't already, you already had all of those. So, first level. So second level, which is your first in cleric, your hit points go up by 1d8 plus your con mod, or 5 plus your con mod. And then you do the same for third level. So what are you going to do? Roll or take average?
I'm just going to take average.
Okay,
so it'll go up with 14 more total 14. After the,
So how much better is your hit points than Matthew's?
Matthew's is what?
19.
Let's see. I'm at 26.
Okay, so only 7. Not much. All right. Then you will do your spells outside the session. Your Divine Domain. Which Divine Domain are you taking?
Grave.
Grave. Okay. Second level, you gain Channel Divinity, Turn Undead, which will be very useful, particularly in the jungles of Chult. All right, so Grave, you get your domain spells, Bane and False Life. Circle of Mortality, which is very useful. Eyes of the Grave, Channel Divinity, Path of the Grave at your second level. And then that's you sorted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move over to Carl. Carl, you got your class sorted?
Yes, sir.
What you going to go for?
And so, since these are the backup characters and we're starting at 5th level just for purposes of creating these characters, I was going to go 2 levels of Ranger and 3 levels of Warlock.
Okay. So first you start out with Ranger and then you take Warlock. Okay. Now, just in case anyone's asking, the reason why Carl and Casey are running 5th level characters for this character creation is we estimate the earliest any new character would be needed would be 5th level.
So I'm going to make it to 5th level, baby. Woo!
All right. So as a Ranger, 1st level Ranger, hit points are 10 plus your con mod.
Yep.
Then your hit points go up by 1d10 plus your con mod, or 6 plus your con mod. How many levels are you taking in Ranger again? 2?
2 Ranger, yeah.
2 Ranger, okay. So are you taking average or rolling?
Average.
Average, okay. So light armor, medium armor, and shields in terms of proficiencies. Weapons are simple weapons and martial weapons. Choose 3 skills from animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival.
I am taking survival, insight, and stealth. I switched my human skill to Arcana.
Okay. So the extra one that you got for being a prodigy? Because you got an extra. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So equipment: scale mail or leather armor.
That will be scale.
Okay. 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons.
Go 2 simple melee weapons. The light crossbow and a quarterstaff.
So is the light crossbow a simple melee weapon?
It is listed as a simple melee weapon in D&D
Really?
Beyond.
That okay. Bug report. I think on that regard. So simple melee weapons. You have club, dagger, great club, hand axe, javelin, light hammer, mace, quarterstaff, sickle, spear, or unarmed strike. You can't take 2 fists.
I don't have the equipment guide in front of me. I'll take the most expensive simple melee weapon. Oh, here it is.
There you go. I've just thrown up a handout for you to see the weapons guide.
Simple melee. I will pick a mace.
A mace. Okay. Cool. Then where were we? We're talking Ranger. Okay, so then you get 2 simple weapons. What were you taking?
Quarterstaff
a mace and
mace.
quarterstaff.
Yeah.
Okay, Dungeoneer's pack or Explorer's pack.
Dungeoneer's pack.
Okay, and then a longbow and a quiver of 20 arrows. You gain a favored enemy at 1st level. So choose a type of favored enemy: aberration, beasts, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, giant, monstrosity, oozes, plants, or undead. And before you mention, FYI, everyone that's watching or you guys playing, for the sake of the character creation, we will take the Ranger from D&D Beyond. When it comes to bringing in the character, should you wish, I will allow you to run the revised Ranger rules. If there has not been a update to the revised Ranger in that time. Okay. So, what tentatively will be your favorite enemy?
Undead.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so natural explorer. You're particularly familiar with one type of natural environment: Arctic, coast, desert, forest, grassland, mountain, swamp, or the Underdark.
This ranger is going to be the Gloom Stalker, and so I will make him an Underdark. If we're still using Natural Explorer from this version of the Ranger.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do switches later. So 2nd level, you gain a fighting style: archery, defense, dueling, or 2-weapon.
I'll be picking the dueling fighting style.
Dueling. So when you are wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain a +2 bonus to damage rolls. Okay. 2nd level, you also gain spellcasting. And that's it, because you're only taking 2 Ranger for right now, correct?
Yep.
Cool. Then we move over to Warlock. So when you multi-class into Warlock, you gain proficiency in light armor and simple weapons, but you already had those. And then let's do your hit points. So 1d8 plus your con mod, or 5 plus your con mod
5.
per level, which is 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So take the average for 3 levels. Otherworldly Patron. So
The idea behind this guy is kind of like a Jason Bourne Special Forces trained in secret to do whatever's necessary to get the job done. His patron will be the Celestial.
okay, so he's taking the Celestial. All right, we will go get to that in a bit. So you gain Pact Magic, so we'll do the spells later. Eldritch Invocations. At 2nd level, you gain 2 Eldritch Invocations of your choice. And I think that's... Would you like to choose your Eldritch Invocations now?
Yes, since he is going to be the guy who sees everything, he's going to take the aspect of the moon, which means he doesn't have to sleep, so he can stay up and be the watchman every night.
Okay.
And then Devil's Sight to give him dark vision up to 120 feet.
Okay, fair enough. All right, then you gain the Pact Boon. So, what is your Pact Boon
Right.
going to be?
In order to get aspect of the moon, he has to be Pact of the Tome.
Okay, so Pact of the Tome. Right, then, so that's everything that's basic. Then let's look at Celestial. You gain the expanded spells list, bonus cantrips, and then Healing Light. So you have a pool of d6s that you spend to fuel this healing and heal people. As a bonus action, you can heal one creature you can see within 60 feet of you, spending die from the pool. The maximum number of dice you can spend at once equals your charisma modifier. All the dice you spend, add them together, and restore that number of hit points equal to the total. Cool. So that is everything that your character gets. Then let's move over to Casey. So your goblin. What's the class the goblin's going to be? Please say barbarian.
No, this is going to be the monk.
Okay, goblin monk. All right. That'll be pretty
You like
cool.
it?
Yeah.
You like it? It's
like
going to
that.
be a Sun Soul monk specifically.
A
which is
Sun
even
Soul
cooler.
monk. Okay. All right. So, let's look at monk for us. So, 1st level hit points 8 plus your con mod.
Mhm.
And then every level, so are you multi-classing or are you doing just monk?
Just monk.
Okay, so the additional 4 levels after that, 1d8 plus your con mod, or 5 plus your con mod.
I'm just going to be taking the 5.
Okay. No proficiency in armor, but you do have proficiency in simple weapons and short swords.
Mm-hmm.
Tools, choose one type of artisan's tools or one musical instrument.
It's going to be an instrument, and I will have her play the bongos.
A goblin monk that plays the bongos.
Oh,
You heard
I
it
love
here
it.
first, folks. Okay. So saving throws, strength and dex, and choose 2 skills: acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, and stealth.
That'll be acrobatics and stealth.
Okay. You start with the following equipment: a short sword or any simple weapon.
Going with any simple weapon, and I'm going with a spear.
Spear. So a goblin, bongos, and a spear. Dungeons pack or an explorer's pack?
Dungeoneers.
Dungeoneers. Okay, and then 10 darts. You gain armored defense, so AC equals 10 plus your dex modifier plus wisdom. Martial arts, which is lots of extra skills, nothing to choose there. Your key ability, unarmored movement, your speed increases by 10 feet. What does that put your speed up to?
40.
40. Nice. So a very quick moving, bongo playing, spear wielding goblin. Monastic tradition at 3rd level. So you are taking the
Sun Soul.
way of the Sun Soul.
Yep.
Okay. Where was I? And then you gain deflect missiles, always useful. then ability score improvement at level 4. Are you going to do an ability score improvement or take a feat?
I'm probably going to do an ability score improvement because I have my dex hanging out at 19, and it's like, how can you not top that off? So that'll go up to a 20, and then my wisdom will go up to a 16.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what does that put your AC at?
17.
17. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then at 4th level, you get slow fall, which is nice. You can fall damage when you fall to reduce any falling damage you take by an amount equal to 5 times your monk level. Nice. I've had some interesting monks diving out of tower windows chasing after doppelgangers in a long time ago in an adventure. Okay, and then 5th level, you gain extra attack and stunning strike. All right, then let's look at the Way of the Sun Soul. So, 3rd level, Radiant Sunbolt. You gain a new attack option that you can use with the attack action. And that is a beam of radiant energy. Nice. That's everything.
It's my own little Eldritch Blast there.
Cool. So, as we understand races and classes now, any questions from you guys about your races or your classes? And how things work in them?
Oh, I'm positive the questions will come up as we're playing, and I suddenly realize I don't know how I'm doing this. But for now, I feel good.
Well, since we briefly spoke about it in the chat, if I were to cast a concentration spell and then immediately retreat into my shell, would I be able to maintain concentration while hiding in my shell? Or would that, the fact that I'm like kind of disengaging from what's going on around, would that interfere?
It's exactly the same thing as, let's say, a rogue.
Mm-hmm.
An arcane trickster casts a spell and then hides in a tree and stealths as a bonus action. It's exactly the same thing. You hide inside. We just need to remember that when you do get hit, obviously your AC increases by 4, I believe it is.
But I'm prone, so I would be...
But you're prone.
Yeah.
So it'd be advantage against attack. If the attack hits, then you've got to roll a Constitution saving throw to see if you keep the concentration up.
Right. Cool.
So, fair enough. Anything else before we move on to backgrounds? Okay, cool. Then let's run straight into backgrounds. Matthew, what is the background that you are taking?
So this is where I kind of run into an option. From a metagame standpoint, I really want to get a background that just gives me a lot of charisma-based skills. Acolyte seems like the thing that would fit, except it kind of doesn't. Like, my guy is not a priest. He's not like a follower of a particular order. His parents may have been in a cult, and he may be looked at by the cult as someone important, but he's not like involved and wrapped around that. So this is where I say the things that story-wise might fit don't give me any benefit or ability that is worthwhile that my character would want, which is kind of where I've been running into trouble on these backgrounds. And I said I wish Xanathar's guide had more backgrounds. Because again, the Acolyte, just the bonuses and the character traits don't really fit with who he is or what he's doing. But then, like, the things that do kind of fit in with what he's doing is like Urban Bounty Hunter, which has nothing to do with my guy either.
Okay.
Are there any recommendations?
What about, have you thought about the Haunted One from Curse of Strahd?
Haunted One. Ooh, let's see. Let me read this quickly.
Being a very demonic and evil raising, I'm sure there would be at least one harrowing event in your childhood. You would gain proficiency in either Arcana, Investigation, Religion, or Survival. You can choose one exotic language of your choice. You gain the Monster Hunter's Pack, one trinket of special significance, and Your feature is Heart of Darkness. Those who look into your eyes can see that you have faced unimaginable horror and that you are no stranger to darkness. Though they might fear you, commoners will extend you every courtesy and do their utmost to help you. Unless you have shown yourself to be a danger to them, they will even take up arms to fight alongside you, should you find yourself facing an enemy alone.
I like that. And I guess I was really focused on trying to get something that would provide a skill proficiency with a charisma-based skill. But looking at after having applied the actual ability score modifiers, it's only a difference of probably a couple of points. So probably then I would need religion and arcana as my skill proficiencies.
Okay, so cool. Then we should roll a d10 for you, please.
D10. 4.
Okay. So, your family has a history of practicing the dark arts. You dabbled once and felt something horrible clutch at your soul, whereupon you fled in terror. That was a harrowing moment. We can shift that. We can shift that.
I mean, how about a harrowing moment that I kind of embraced?
Sounds good. So we strip away that whereupon you fled in terror. You felt something horrible clutch at your soul and ran with it.
Yes, but let's put it this way. Instead of something so harrowing, it's driven me to the edge of insanity. It's something that's so taken apart in me that is what's driving me towards insanity. I must fulfill my destiny. And if I don't, like, the failure is what will destroy me. The idea of failure is what haunts me.
Okay. So let's go through your suggested characteristics. Would you like to choose from the options?
Do I get to choose an exotic language as part of this?
Yes, you do. You get to choose any of the exotic languages. Abyssal, Celestial, Deep Speech, Draconic, Infernal, Primordial, Sylvan, or Undercommon.
Oh. I already speak Infernal. Asmodeus was an angel, but he also fights demons. Do I take Abyssal or Celestial? Thoughts? Abyssal or Celestial, everybody? I could go either way.
If you already have Infernal and you want to be a bit of both, I would say dip into the Celestial. Right?
Sounds solid.
Right. All right. Celestial it is. Great. Suggested characteristics.
So, would you like to roll for them or choose? You get 2 personality traits.
Okay, I put no trust in divine beings because while I'm a favored soul, Asmodeus is not doing me any favors. I have to prove my worth before he'll notice me. And frankly, no other god is going to like me for what I am. So don't trust them. And I expect danger around every corner, but I like it. I expect it because I'm going to use it and manipulate things to my own ends.
All right. So your ideal. I'm going to pick one or roll.
Oh, I'm a monster that destroys other monsters and anything else that gets in my way. Though through the more educated and elevated form of subtle trickery and machinations, not with brute strength.
Okay. Your bond.
I keep thoughts and discoveries in my journal.
Ooh.
Though my journal won't be my legacy, my journal will be my book of scripture after I ascend.
Okay. And your flaw.
Can I assume the worst in people really mean I assume the truth in people? Like I assume people will turn tail and run, and I assume the worst because that's how people really are.
You can assume that the truth of all people is that they are all naturally
go.
evil and worst. Okay.
All people are naturally bad, and my do-goody compatriots, they just haven't. But when push comes to shove, they'll see things my way.
Okay. All right. So we move on from that. Yep. To Stephen.
Yeah.
What background are you going to go for?
I'm going to Hermit.
Hermit.
Yes.
So skill proficiency in medicine and religion, herbalism kit, a scroll case full of notes from your studied prayers, winter blankets, common clothes, herbalism kit, and 5 gold.
Yeah, I'm loaded.
So, would you also gain the discovery feature? You and I will talk about the discovery
I feel like
feature.
There's a lot of for this that could come in handy.
All right. So, personality traits. Would you like
I get a language too, right?
Yes,
it's
one of your
beyond
choice. Any one of your choice.
I was gonna pick Sylvan.
Okay.
Cool. So personality trait. I just lost. There we go.
You can either choose 2 or roll.
I'm gonna roll for this one.
So go ahead and roll 2d8s, and tell us what each individual roll.
Give me 1 second. I'll go grab them. Oh, sitting all that time.
While he's doing
All right,
that, can I go and think about what they will be doing?
Digging them out of here.
Okay.
I got a 6 and a 7.
Okay.
6 and a 7. So I connect everything that happens to me to a grand cosmic plan, and I often get lost in my own thoughts and contemplation because I like this. This is kind of the mood that I was thinking for him anyway, so that works out well.
Okay. I particularly think that when you often get lost in your own thoughts and contemplation, becoming oblivious to your surroundings, you won't realize that you often head back into your shell to think to yourself.
That's precious.
In the middle of social interactions, you'll just suddenly disappear and begin thinking to yourself.
What a sweetheart.
Okay, so your ideal. Would you like to roll or just pick one?
I'm going to pick one because I have some alignment constraints since Kalimvor is a lawful neutral deity. I think I'm going with the lawful. Emotions must not cloud our sense of what is right and true or our logical thinking.
Okay. Your bond.
Bond.
Can I change one of my flaws while Steven's thinking about that?
What would you like to change and why?
I just looked at this earlier. I'd picked some earlier and I'd forgotten I picked this one. The flaw is an innocent person is in prison for a crime I committed. I am okay with that.
I think Ty has the same flaw, so that'll be an interesting combination. The two of
I
you
mean,
maybe
if not,
work
I've still
together.
got, I assume, the worst in people.
Yeah. Maybe we'll work it out between.
You know what? I'll have both. Those are 2 flaws I got.
All right. I'm between 3 of them right now.
Okay.
And part of it will have to do with either the discovery that we pick, which we can talk about, or how kind of the turtles fit into Cholk. You said they're kind of pretty well entrenched in there. So I was thinking either 2, I entered seclusion to hide from ones that might still be hunting me. I must someday confront them. Or 5 or 6, which could go with the discovery. Should my discovery come to light, it could bring ruin to the world. Or my isolation gave me great insight to a great evil that only I can destroy. I'm thinking 5. Okay. Sounds like the most fun roleplay potential.
Fair enough. All right, then let's move on to your flaw. Okay. Cool. Would you like to roll for the flaw or choose one?
No, there was one that well, no, that was when I was thinking half orc actually, so that wouldn't work with the turtle. I think I'm gonna roll for this one.
Okay, roll a d6.
I got a 4. I let my arguments overshadow friendships and harmony. All right. Great.
Okay. Cool. That sounds good. Then we move over to Carl. What's your background, Carl?
I am happy to go forward with the background stuff, but I'm also conscious that Matt will be having to leave us soon. and wonder if we want to do anything else focused on him before we continue on our stuff.
That's a good point. Matthew, how you doing?
Well, I think all we have left really is, well, what do we have left? We have some equipment. Maybe trying to talk between ourselves about background and character interaction prior, but I don't know if, in terms of character creation, what else there is to do.
For your character, nothing that isn't campaign specific that I would prepare within the few weeks leading up to the session. So, more or less, Matthew's character is, other than spells.
Other than spells,
all
I want to be
set up.
clear about one thing.
Yep.
He's using a quarterstaff because it's a quarterstaff mechanically, but it looks like a pitchfork because my guy is literally the devil.
You're really going all in on this.
I asked to do a
Painted red
trident.
and everything.
That's right. Aaron wouldn't let me use a trident because I'm not proficient with tridents. So it's going to act like a quarterstaff, but it looks like a pitchfork.
Maybe what if he goes full into it and he's like, I don't know how to use this, but I got to take it because this is full devil.
No, that's genuinely part of it. Like, he can use it like a stick. He doesn't know how to stab anybody though. It's for looks.
Last week, our characters got common magic items. You gotta let Matthew and Steven's characters pick those.
Yeah, so have you guys had a chance to look over the common magical items in Xanathar's Guide to Everything?
I haven't looked at items, but I know what I need, and you could probably tell me which item to take.
Okay, so what do you need?
I need robes that give me a +8 to AC, or I'm gonna die.
+8.
With that in mind, I'll take something a little less than that, but I do need kind of an AC bump. I don't need anything for weapons, so maybe some sort of arcane focus or arcane spellcasting bump. And those are really all I can think of.
Okay, so take some time if you get the opportunity to read through the common magic items in Xanathar's Guide. These are, apart from maybe one or two, I would say they're mundane magical items in that they serve very little purpose. For example, the Cloak of Billowing. While wearing this cloak, you can use a bonus action to make it billow dramatically.
Ooh,
so
Perfect.
that could work for your thaumaturgy. Every time you step through the door, the pitchfork slams down, a crack of thunder, and your cloak billows out. It's possible.
It's possible.
And Stephen, have you had a chance to look through?
I have, and because I know this was a problem I was trying to tease out in the chat, and I think I found my solution. I'm going to go with the Ruby of the War Mage, which will let me use my longsword as my spellcasting focus. So since it's my focus and I'm holding it in my hand, I can be kind of an upfront cleric and not have to deal with sheathing and unsheathing my sword. So I could do all the healing spells and everything without having to worry about what I'm doing with my other hand.
Okay. Fair enough. So your weapon becomes your spellcasting focus.
Yes, and I guess an alternative question to that is, could I have the ruby planted in my hand, since my hand is a natural weapon, and I have claws as a turtle? It's like it becomes an Iron Man thing. I present it, and I shoot my a ray of enfeeblement or what have you out of my hand. I don't actually want to do that, but I just thought it was a funny image.
So, strictly speaking,
Yeah.
the Ruby of the War Mage allows you to use a simple or martial weapon as a
Right.
spellcasting focus
And
for your spells.
That is neither of those.
An unarmed strike is considered a simple weapon, but a natural weapon, I would let it. I would let it.
But
Personally.
you're being a little. I am going to use it on the sword, but I like that. I just like the visual now of that even
Right.
more. But yeah, so I'm going to have that attuned to my my longsword. Well, actually, maybe I can, because I was also thinking, since he's a gravedigger, if he could use a shovel as a weapon, but there isn't a shovel weapon. I don't know if I could reason a longsword mechanically or I guess a shovel would be a club. Don't worry about it. I'm spitballing at this point, and we have other things to do. So I'm going to keep it on my longsword, and I'll probably just buy gear that includes a shovel to carry around to bury the deceased.
Fair enough. All right. Matthew, were you comfortable with the idea of the Cloak of Billowing, or did you want to take something else? In particular, I would love for someone in the party to have a talking doll. I would love a Furby to be in the campaign.
I mean, you can just make it happen.
But, ooh, Staff of Adornment. Huh. Oh, snap. Have you read about the Staff of Adornment?
If you place an object weighing no more than 1 pound above the tip of the staff while holding it, the object floats an inch from the staff's tip and remains there until it is removed or until the staff is no longer in your possession. The staff can have up to 3 such objects floating over its tip at any given time.
So my little pitchfork has one little thing over each trident.
Yeah, that would work. The question is, what would you have floating?
I don't know.
Keys.
Something scary. Contracts.
3 crossbow
I'd
bolts.
have an inkwell and a quill and a blank piece of parchment to make diabolical contracts with people.
So a contract.
So a contract.
Okay. All right. Then with that, we are going to take a 15-minute break, everyone. Say goodbye to Matthew as he's got to dash off to do real-world things. And we will be back in 15 minutes. See you then. Bye. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us after the break. Matthew ran off and abandoned us. We still have Stephen, Carl, and Casey. So we will quickly finish up the. Oh, I'm off. We will quickly finish up the character creation. We are going through Carl's new character's background. So, Carl, which background would you take?
I will be a faction agent, and I will defer to your guidance for determining which faction that will be.
Okay. All of the factions have a stake in this entire situation. And so it is completely, it's fairly easy to blend all of the factions into the story. So it is up to you which faction you would like to take. The Harpers, the Order of the Gauntlet, the Emerald Enclave, the Lord's Alliance, or the Zentarim.
Can I think about it?
You can think about it. Okay. Your feature is Safe Haven. So should you find network of supporters and operatives and a safe place to rest. Would you like to pick or roll for your personality traits?
Well, let's roll them up.
Okay. So 2d8.
3 and a 7.
So I see omens in every event and action. The gods try to speak to us. We just need to listen. I'm looking at the right one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 7, I've enjoyed fine food, drink, and high society among my temple's elite. Rough life and living grants on me. Rough living grates on me. Okay. Your ideal. D6.
That's a 2.
Charity. I always try to help those in need, no matter what the personal cost. Good. Your bond. D6.
That's a 4.
So everything I do is for the common people. And how about a flaw?
Also 4.
I am inflexible in my thinking. Okay, with that in mind, you have skill proficiencies in insight, and 1 intelligence, wisdom, or charisma skill of your choice, as appropriate to your faction. So choose that once you've decided what your faction is going to be. 2 languages of your choice, and I will allow you to choose either common or exotic.
My patron being the Celestial, I think I'll choose the Celestial language, and
Okay.
Sylvan.
Okay. You will gain a badge or emblem of your faction, a copy of a seminal faction text, a set of common clothes, and a pouch containing 15 gold pieces. All right. I think that's everything for that. Casey, do you know what background your character will take?
Yeah, I'll be going Outlander for this one.
Outlander. There can be only one.
No, that's the Highlander.
Yeah, but it's the closest thing.
Oh.
Sorry.
Everyone's a critic.
Fine. Sean Connery was the best Highlander. There, I've said it. So, skill proficiencies in athletics and survival.
Yep.
1 type of musical instrument.
I think I'm gonna go with lute.
Lute.
Dex-based
So,
skill.
a lute and bongos. Could you become a one-man band?
Maybe
like
if
it.
I strapped the bongos to my back and made an apparatus for my feet to interact with it, possibly.
Could you use your feet to drum on the bongos and then play the lute with your
Like
hands?
sit on my butt and kind of.
Oh, I'm thinking stand on the bongos and like drum on them with your feet, kind of like a tap dance, but on the top.
Depends on the size of the bongos, but it's possible being so small.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe.
So you, as equipment, you gain a language of your choice. Same again, common or exotic, it's your choice.
I'll go Chilton.
Okay. And your equipment, a staff hunting trap, a trophy from an animal you killed, a set of traveler's clothes, and a pouch containing 10 gold pieces. Out of curiosity, what animal did you kill?
Well, let's see. It would be from this jungle.
So it could be any sort of monstrosity or undead.
No. What are the giant rodents? What are the
Chupacabra.
No, they're not chupacabras. I wanted to say
What else then? What?
capybaras.
Oh, you're right. Oh my god.
It'll be a capybara tail.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right.
little thing. There's a little nub.
So, would you like to roll for an origin?
I've actually done something kind of cool. I've gone through and I've narrowed it down to 2 choices on everything except for the ideal. So I'll roll for everything and it'll be 1 or 2.
Okay. All right. But so your origin. So
That's the 1. I am a homesteader.
homesteader. Okay. Your feature is wanderer. You have an excellent memory for maps and geography. You can always recall the general layout of terrain, settlements, and other features around you. In addition, you can find fresh food or water for yourself. All right, and up to 5 people. Cool. That'll be useful in the jungle. So, personality traits.
It's a 2. I'm always picking things up, absently fiddling with them, and sometimes accidentally breaking them.
Okay. And your other personality trait?
Oh, I rolled for it? That was me rolling
Yes,
for it?
you can take 2 personality traits.
Oh. Then the other default one was I have a lesson for every situation drawn from observing nature.
Okay. Your ideal. Roll for
Ideal
your
will have to be the natural world is more important than all the constructs of civilization.
Okay. Your bond.
Bond be I will bring terrible wrath down upon the evildoers who destroyed my homeland.
Okay. So we need to write a story about your homeland being destroyed. Flaw.
Don't expect me to save those who can't save themselves. It is nature's way that the strong thrive and the weak perish.
All right. Cool. Then with that, do any of you have any questions about your backgrounds or your characters that you've generated just in general? Nope. All right. So we will jump right into giving these characters a little bit of a test run. So in this example, the 3 of you, through some mystical reason or event or whatnot, are actually traveling together along a long, lonely road. You've been traveling for a good couple of days. You know each other well enough, and you're getting a little tired. It's been a while since you've had a good place to rest and eat. The journey has taken probably about a week since your last comfortable place to stay, before the road crests over a hill. As the evening is moving on, you see in the distance a small little village just seem to pop out of nowhere that just kind of sticks in the middle of the road. This small little village probably only has maybe 4 or 5 buildings to it. One fairly large one that's right next to the road, and the rest small little buildings that are tucked next to it to the sides. There are lights easily viewable coming from particularly the larger building, and even from this distance it looks inviting. As you guys approach, you hear the sound of cheers and laughter and boisterous activities coming from the large den, the large building. What do you guys do?
Well, first off, do I, with my Eye of the Grave ability, I'm going to see if there's any undead around.
Okay.
Within 60 feet of me.
You do not sense any undead within 60 feet of you.
Great. All right. That's all I wanted to do real quick.
Okay. Anything else you guys are doing as you pass towards this town and hear all this life? You guys are... It's been a while since you've experienced good fun, so hopefully you'd want to get involved.
I'd like to stealthily examine the situation and why they're cheering.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a stealth check.
Very
What did you
stealthy.
get?
11.
11. Okay. So you quietly step up to one of the windows in there. You look in, and there is a lot of people in there. Probably a good 70 plus people, all inside this huge room, this huge barn, all dancing around and having a good time. There's a band playing off in the distance. There even someone's using magic to have lights shining in different colors. It looks like a good old party. As you step up to look through, whack, the window gets opened by someone and knocks right into you, knocks you down, revealing your presence to that.
I would like to use a bonus action to hide.
Unfortunately, it was your stealthing that failed, your attempt to hide that failed, so you're unable to hide again. As the window opens, this kind of ragged-looking, elderly human male, light skin, ragged beard that looks like it's been shaved badly or been pulled off in a fight or something, just pokes his head out. Yes, hello? You come to join in the party? Go on.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
come
gonna
on in.
I'm gonna amble on over there, help pick asparagus up off the ground. To presuming asparagus has been dropped in this. They come, we need not spend time with such frivolities.
I will climb up him and sit on his shell. Backwards.
Come on in. The more the merrier. Come on. At which point the big, huge barn doors open up. The music begins to blare out loud. You can hear it. There's probably a good 3 or 4 decent bards in there, all playing their various instruments.
All at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is food like free or?
Help yourself. What's mine is yours. Come on in. So you follow him in, and the entire place just immediately takes on a life of its own. Very soon after you stepping in, you find yourselves thrust into the throng of people. There is a mug of ale put in each of your hands, whether you drink it or not, and a pie. Really nice pie.
What kind of pies?
It looks like a meat pie.
Oh, what kind of meat?
Doesn't matter.
Try it and taste it. Try it and taste it.
Take a chomp out of it.
Okay.
I will look for dinnerware because I'm not a filthy creature.
All of us monstrous humanoids running around.
You try the food, the drink. It's nice, it's simple, it's great. People are having a good time. The host, as it were, that invited you in, encourages you to come over to where the band is playing. Well, so welcome to our what is it, Harvest Festival. This happens once a year. It's a great day. Are you here for the party? Are you here for the fun?
Oh, absolutely.
I just start to retreat into my shell as it gets noisier and noisier. Like, no, this is no kind of fun.
Come on. All right. So, pretty soon, the music's going to die down, and we're going to play some games. You'll like some games, right?
Of course. Who doesn't like games?
Good, good. So, if each of you would like to join in the games, we've got 3 games coming up. The first of which, simple little game, just an eating contest. You will each be given various different bits of food. You just gotta finish it first. That's all it takes.
Go
In for
on.
it.
Oh, sign me up.
All right. So he rushes off, grabs a couple pieces of paper, and so, what's your names? And points to Casey, the goblin monk. What's your name, little fella?
You can just call me Gus.
Gus. That's with a. That's a Gus. Okay. Carl. He points to your character, the human ranger warlock.
You can just call me Gloomy Guy for now.
Gloomy guy. Okay, gloomy guy. Okay. And then lastly, big fella. What's your name?
Greco.
Greco. I had a friend like you once. His name was Geico. Long story. All right. So, I got you all down for the party. It'll start in a couple of minutes. Go and sit, enjoy yourselves, and you'll be called over as soon as the competition starts. So, you go, you relax. About 15, 20 minutes go by before the first round of the competition starts. What would you guys be doing in this party setting while you're waiting?
I will go attempt to get in on the stage action with my drums.
Okay. Roll a performance check for me.
Woo!
Yeah. Go Gus.
There's a moment where the music just stops and gives Gus a moment of drum solo. Everyone's loving it. The whole group of people that are dancing suddenly start picking up to the beat that you're dancing to. I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 people now start shouting, do the goblin, and they've created a new dance purely because you rolled a 22, a crit on your performance check. All right. What are the rest of you doing while Gus is doing this?
Greco is doing the best he can to not get too overwhelmed by everything going on around him at this moment.
Okay.
He's not used to this kind of high energy, high lights kind of everything. It's a little overstimulating, so he's trying to just keep it together. I won't go in my shell. It's not. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. And then Carl, are you doing anything?
I'm regretting that I ate a little bit of the pie ahead of time, not knowing that there was going to be a competition, and I feel like the guy who brought us in set me up for failure. So now I'm secretly stewing over that slight, and I have a shield, and I'm just gripping it tighter and tighter, and then I'm just calming down again because it's a party and we're supposed to be having fun, but I'm really upset that this guy set me up.
Okay. All right. So while you're relaxing, you're getting into the groove of things, you guys are having a great time. The bells ring, the music stops. Gus continues for a little bit till someone nudges him and reminds him, okay, come on, stop.
Gus
it is
is
time.
a lady, by the way.
Oh, Gus is a lady.
Lady goblin.
Okay. Fair enough. It's time, folks. Time for the feeding competition. So please line up behind the table and the food will be served. So you each take your place next to one another, and sure enough, before you is a whole table filled with food. And each of you has a nice big platter of wings, beef, pork, pie, bunch of other food that I can't think of right now.
Meatballs.
Meatballs.
Yes.
someone managed to invent pizza in this fantasy world, and you have pizza in front of you.
Okay.
You're given water to drink if you wish, or to smush the hot dogs into before you eat them, because apparently that makes it easier to finish. I don't.
That's what the professionals say, at least.
Yep, that's what they do. All along this table, you see a huge group, like different kinds of people. So immediately to the right of your little group, you see a half-orc that's obviously had one too many meals every day in his life, as he's huge. And he just looks like he's already salivating, waiting for the food. Off to the other side of you, you see this scrawny little woman that you can't imagine she's ever eaten this much food. But she looks ready for a good time. So
What a ringer. Obvious.
Obvious.
She swallowed a bag of holding and it's just like sitting there right in her throat, ready to go.
That's actually a good idea. All right. So, after a moment, the bell rings again, and you are all encouraged to just scoff down as much food as you possibly can. I'm going to, well, I would say, would you guys like to choose any particular ability that you would apply to how you would tackle this horde of food?
I was going to ask you if you could allow me to use my flurry of blows on it with my mouth.
So, one quick chop with the hand. You get that, you then spend a key point to flurry of blows, bite into all of the food. Okay, so you're doing that. Go ahead and, are you able to make an attack roll for me in Roll20?
I think so.
Just
Here we go.
any attack roll would work. Okay, 25 to hit. All right. Carl, how would you tackle this food?
Knowing that it was rigged from the beginning, I'm abstaining from competing, and I'm just enjoying the food as if it was a regular meal. And I'm just, while everyone's carving and, beating their food into submission, I'm just, it's tasty. That's tasty. What else we got? I'm just going to get a little bit of everything.
Okay. So I'm going to say you have a 10, just a standard 10. So Stephen,
Yes.
I've forgotten what we named you.
Gordon Greco.
Like El
There we
Greco, the Renaissance artist, not to be confused with Donatello or Leonardo. So first thing he's going to do is he's going to cast Purify Food and Drink on all the food around us, because he's very suspicious of this party and these very outgoing people. And he feels like there has to be something wrong with this.
So just to clarify,
Yeah.
because heaven forbid it makes a difference to my entire plan for tonight.
It's only any food within a 5-foot radius sphere, non-magical food and drink. And it's just purified and rendered free of poison and disease. So if there's like blades inside it that we're eating, it's not going to fix that. If it's magical food, and it's also only food within there. So presumably if they replenish our stores at some point.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So you feel confident that the amount of food in front of you does get purified, cleaned.
Right. And then otherwise, I would just use a Constitution save.
Okay. So to be able to compose yourself as you eat it down.
Yeah. So I'll roll that.
Okay, so go ahead and roll a con save. Right, a 9. Strangely enough, after you have purified the food, cleaned it, and then start trying to shovel it down, you struggle, your stomach begins to turn a little bit, and it starts coming back up.
So I have proficiency. Oh, no, that's proficiency, not advantage. Never mind, continue.
Yeah. Well, after you it starts to come back up. You hold it down for a moment, you swallow it, and then it comes right back. After it comes back up, you look and you figure, sure enough, slow and steady, the gloomy guy has already managed to finish more than you have after you've vomited yours up. But then you look past the gloomy guy and, oh, wow, that food is disappearing quicker than you can purify it. Gus, yeah, sorry. Gus is just shoveling it down. Like,
there's stuff flying out the sides.
the pile of food in front of Gus is bigger than Gus is, yet somehow it's fitting inside of him in this moment.
I think.
Let me roll for the big guy next to Gus.
I think it's the height of irony. That's slow and steady, and the turtle loses.
Yeah.
To the slow and steady.
Also, in Greco's great shame, he will just not fully retreat into his shell, but he's going to just kind of sink in a little bit. So he can still see everything going on, but he's not really fully out there.
Okay. So it's a tight one. Like the battle goes on between Gus, the big guy, and the little lady. It's a huge, just massive mess behind everyone. But as the bells ring once more, the big guy finished the food first. Just before Gus did, and shortly after Gus, the little lady managed to finish hers. Greco and Gloomy Guy didn't finish the food at all in time. So after that, I'm going to need everyone to roll charisma saving throws for me.
What?
Yep.
Oh, this is not going to go well for my turtle.
If you... Actually, I think this is the first time I've had a group of people that none of them have an advantage against being charmed.
Wow.
Yeah. Right, so I've got a 16 from Casey, a 6 from Stephen, and 7 from Carl. Okay.
Goodness gracious.
For saying you two ate the least amount of food, the magic that was placed into this food begins to hit you more than it did to Gus. Maybe it was the way Gus was processing it quicker, his metabolism was a bit better, but the two of you have, just remember that you have a mark of corruption within the situation. Everyone goes wild. Everyone loves the cheering as the big guy finishes his food first. Well done to everyone here, especially the newcomers. It was brilliant. We'll now be moving on to the talent portion of our show.
Well, you already did your talent.
So, every one of you now take the stage and give us your talent. So, big guy goes up. Turns out he is a druid and spends the entire time druid crafting illusions and images with water and vines in front of everyone. It's a very nice, ornate display, but people get bored of it very quickly. The little lady gets up and turns out she's a shapeshifter, and she begins shifting into other people and images and characters, and she starts doing impressions and jokes, and people enjoy it. At one point, she makes fun of the host and then other individuals that are already there. She doesn't touch you guys, though. Casey, Gus, what's your talent?
Well, I'm feeling a little pressured now since, this is a contest and all. It's a little bit different. But I think I'm going to whip out the lute and play my rendition. I'll be tuning it on stage. I'm going to give you folks my rendition tonight of Sweet Home Nine Zaru. Here we go.
Sweet Home Nine Zaro. Nice. Go ahead and roll a performance check for me. 21. All right. Gloomy guy. What is your talent? What is your character best at, and what can he show off to the party?
So I will. I'll do like some stage magic. So I'll say, nothing up my sleeves. Everyone, be calm. And then I cast darkness. And then I go around the audience, and because I can see in darkness, and I just take something of everyone, not precious items, just articles of clothing. And then I get back to the stage, and I drop the darkness, and I'm wearing something of everything, and it's hilarious.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a sleight of hand check, maybe, to take the clothing off of people.
That is a +4.
Okay. And then Greco. What is your talent, and what will you show off to the party?
Greco is going to, with much consternation, get up in front of the group of people, and he will sing a beautiful operatic aria that is not dissimilar to Stars from Les Miserables, but it's not Stars from Les Miserables. It's definitely a different song entirely. that is specific to the Forgotten Realms and makes sense in this. Actually, Stars works in this context. So yeah, he sings Stars, just there, and it's beautiful, and it doesn't probably work, but he doesn't care, darn it, because he's wanted this moment.
Okay.
Ages.
Performance check from you, please.
It's just a straight D20 roll.
It's a 6.
Yeah.
So you struggle with a couple notes, you forget the words, and at some point, about halfway through, you suddenly realize you're singing an operatic version of Sweet Home Nine Zaro.
No! It was in my head because he was just performing it, and it got me all confused.
So somehow it flipped over.
Some songs don't work in opera, you know?
And I'd like you to take a moment to think of how Sweet Home Nine Zaro, the lyrics would work with the tune of Stars. I don't know if it would, but it'll be interesting to find out in the next couple of days. So, you struggle, but you have a good time. Let me roll for the other individuals. Identical rolls again. A 19 and a 17. I swear I'm not cheating.
I knew it was rigged.
Yep, rigged from the start. Unfortunately, for some reason, even the Druid crafting drew more of a crowd than everything else. But the winner this time was the young woman and her shape-shifting impressions of stars and superheroes and adventurers. So we move on from that to the third and final test competition. It's quite simple. You just have to... Oh.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
Jumping in. Sorry.
See us.
No, we can't see you. Are you...
Hello.
Sorry. For everyone listening in to the Twitch, Erin has just suddenly...
Hey, guys.
Ty has just suddenly jumped in.
I'm here.
Hey. Are you going to be with us for the rest of the next half an hour?
No.
Okay.
Oh, it's not working.
All right. Sorry about that.
I did think of how the lyrics could work. If you would like a rendition real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we got they're out in the darkness. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na, a fugitive running. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na, falling from God. Ba-na-na-na-na-na, falling from grace. And that's all I got, but I think that's enough to be booed off the stage as a turtle. So
Nice.
I thought that was great.
Thank you.
All right. Well done. I'm very impressed by that. All right. So the third and final test. You are all, the three of you, invited to stand in the circle with the other contestants, the other two particular individuals, and you are each given a choice. If you could have anything in the world, what would you have? So, we start with Casey and Gus. If your character could have anything in the world, what would it be?
Probably wings.
Wings?
Wings.
Are you still hungry? We just ate.
Yeah, but I got this real hankering for something a little bit spicier, you know?
Whoa! Extreme close up.
Looks like we can now see. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Roundabout. Always pop in. How's everything going?
Going well. The guys have just engaged in an eating competition, then a talent show, and now they're sharing their deepest desires to a barn dance, effectively. Okay, they're having a good time. Right. I'm going to have to kick you off. So I'll see you later. All right. So you said wings, right? You would want wings.
Like
All
bird
right.
wings, like or pterodactyl or whatever
Bird
have
wings.
you.
Okay, fair enough. Carl, gloomy guy. What is the one thing your character would want above all others?
For my faction's goals to come to fruition, and my faction is as yet undetermined, and their goals even more so. So, in that case, immortality. How about that? Let's go with that.
Immortality. Okay. And Greco, what is the one thing your character would like above all else?
Above all else, just to see this problem through so I can go back home and enjoy a nice, quiet, warm stew with a fire lit and a peaceful graveyard in my sight.
Okay. All right. It moves around. The big guy asks for another plate. The little lady, she asks that you all become her servants for the rest of eternity. So, I will need charisma saving throws once again from each of the three of you, and those with a mark of corruption have disadvantage on this.
Is there any way that I could have made an attempt to persuade her not to wish for that sort of thing?
How would you have attempted to do so?
Well, kind of at first a little bit judgmental, and it was like, you could have anything in the world. Like, what are you going to do with us whenever we're,
Obviously, I'm terrible at everything, so she shouldn't want me anyway.
Why don't you do something, a little bit more fun, for the sake of what's going on here?
Okay. So, I'm still going to need a charisma save from you. So we have a 12 from Gloomy Guy, a 15 from Gus, Greco, a 5 from Greco.
Oh my gosh, this turtle. He's so bad at everything. What? Hold on. I'm going to see if I do better with my real dice. I got a 19 with my real dice, so that's
It's a shame you rolled the 5 already.
I know.
As she asks for this, as she desires this, you see in a very quick moment, all of a sudden, Gus gains a pair of wings. Gloomy guy. His skin begins to glow somewhat, almost, as his body becomes more solidified. Maybe it seems like his skin turns to a skin-colored version of stone. He's not turned to stone, but he is effectively now immortal. Greco, you suddenly find a pair of slippers, a scarf, and a mug of hot cocoa appear on your person as you feel the comforts of home. The big guy gets a nice big plate of food once again, begins to sit down and eat it, and then the woman shifts her form to reveal her true self as a succubus and pulls in the big guy who fails, Greco and Gloomy guy, to be her thralls as the floor opens up into a portal to somewhere else.
I fly
And
over
we will
it.
end
I'm okay.
today's session as the succubus claims the Gloomy guy and Greco as her servants for the rest of eternity.
Or until we play Tomb of Annihilation.
Until
we have to
we
roll
play.
up a new.
No. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you everyone for sticking around and watching. For watching our session. Thank you, Stephen, for creating a character. I hope you enjoyed looking through the Xanathar's Guide to Everything content. Once again, I would definitely recommend it for everyone to at least check out, find a DM that has a copy maybe, and talk to him about it. And we will pick up our normal story next week. Next week's session will be a normal session where we resume. As a reminder, Erin and crew have just arrived at Erin's biological father's home to find an individual who has been pretending to be Erin and claiming the life of him, dressed in a nightgown and pajamas, and looking like he's been through some form of battle, as there is blood dripping down his shirt. And the individual begins to turn and run away. I know the party will stop him. I know the party will do everything they can to stop this guy from doing whatever it is he's doing, and question him and find out why Erin's family, why Waterdeep, what do the Drow actually have planned, and how do the Masked Lords come into tie into that. Tune in next week. Good night.